The cameras were still rolling when Zendaya rose from her seat, eyes blazing, voice trembling with rage, and, without another word, she stormed off the set of The View. The stunned silence that followed rippled through the studio like a thunderclap. Could have ignited such an eruption from one of Hollywood's most poised and media-savvy stars. Moments earlier, a heated exchange with Joy Behar had transformed daytime TV into a battlefield. Words were weapons, smiles turned into glares, and the tension, you could cut it with a knife. But was this clash really about a single disagreement, or did it expose something far deeper, an unspoken war between generations, values, and celebrity activism? Social media exploded. Zendaya on The View trended within minutes. TikTok analysts dissected every frame. Twitter took sides. And viewers around the world were left asking the same chilling question: did Joy go too far? In an age where every word is a headline and every look a controversy, this wasn't just another celebrity interview gone wrong. It was a moment that tore open the polished fabric of talk show civility and exposed the raw nerves underneath. What happened behind that table, and why did it leave America divided? Stay with us, to truly understand what happened on that explosive episode of The View. We need to rewind the tape not just to the beginning of the broadcast, but to the stories behind the women at that table. Zendaya, Hollywood's golden girl, a multi-award-winning actress, fashion icon, and powerful voice for her generation, known for her grace, intelligence, and emotional depth. She's used every platform she touches to speak out on issues like racial justice, mental health, and women's rights. But she's also known for her calculated, comically engaging in drama, rarely letting emotions spill in public. Then there's Joy Behar, a staple of The View since its early days. She's fearless, fiery, and unapologetically opinionated. At 81 years old, Joy has built a legacy on asking tough questions and saying what others won't. She's clashed with countless guests before, politicians, actors, even fellow hosts. But this was different. Zendaya's appearance on The View was billed as a press stop for her latest film project, but producers teased it would touch on deeper topics, including celebrity responsibility and the intersection of activism and fame. What they didn't anticipate, at least, not publicly, was that the polite conversation would devolve into one of the most tense moments in the show's history. The episode started normally enough. Warm introductions, laughter, and surface-level banter about Zendaya's movie. But as the topic shifted toward Hollywood's role in political discourse and the younger generation's approach to protests, something in the air changed. Joy leaned forward, her voice sharpened. Zendaya's smile faded, and the table turned into a battleground. It began with a deceptively simple question from Joy: do you really think celebrities should be lecturing the public on politics? Zendaya paused, clearly measuring her words. She replied with calm confidence, explaining that with platform comes responsibility, that remaining silent in times of injustice was, in itself, a political act. The audience responded with scattered applause, but Joy didn't back down. She pressed further. Isn't it a bit hypocritical, she asked, for someone living in a Hollywood mansion to tell struggling Americans how to vote or what to believe? A flicker crossed Zendaya's face, shock, then resolve. The temperature at the table dropped. Zendaya, unshaken, fired back. She spoke about the difference between privilege and responsibility. She brought up the importance of young people seeing role models who care. She even referenced past movements where artists led change. But Joy cut in. She interrupted, more than once. The tension thickened with each back and forth. What began as a philosophical disagreement became personal. Zendaya's voice, normally soft and composed, grew sharper. She questioned Joy's assumptions. She challenged her tone. She made it clear this wasn't just about celebrity politics. It was about respect, voice, and generational disconnect. The other hosts looked on, stunned. Whoopi Goldberg leaned back, visibly uncomfortable. Sunny Hostin raised her eyebrows. Even the studio audience grew quieter, sensing the friction. Then, it happened. Joy smirked and said the one line that crossed the line: maybe stick to the red carpet, honey. Politics clearly isn't your thing. Gasps, audible gasps from the crowd. Zendaa froze, and then she stood up. The moment Zendaya stood, the energy in the room snapped. She didn't yell, she didn't scream, but her body said everything. Her words, DIDN single quotes T. She slowly removed her microphone. The clatter of the mic hitting the desk echoed louder than anything else in that moment. Her jaw clenched, her eyes locked on Joy's, fierce, defiant, but holding back visible emotion. You don't get to decide that, she said, voice steady but icy. Not today. And with that she walked off. No glance back. No staged pause. Just silence. The stunned faces of millions watching at home. Joy sat frozen, her smirk gone. For a moment, the entire studio was silent. No jokes, no cut to commercial. Just the weight of what had just happened sinking into everyone's skin. Whoopi finally spoke first, trying to redirect the segment with a nervous chuckle. Well, that escalated quickly. But it was clear this wasn't just a dramatic moment. This was a rupture. Within minutes, clips of Zendaya walking off the set were everywhere. TikTok edits, Twitter threads, YouTube breakdowns, news alerts. The moment went viral before the episode had even finished airing on the West Coast. And The View, the show that had always thrived on controversy, suddenly found itself at the center of a firestorm it couldn't control. Zendaya had made her exit, but the conversation had only just begun. Backstage, sources reported chaos, producers scrambling, assistants on phones, PR teams in damage control mode. Zendaya's team immediately escorted her out of the studio without comment, declining all media requests. Meanwhile, the remaining co-hosts tried to salvage the episode. Liv Joy, visibly rattled, attempted to downplay the incident, calling it a passionate exchange and insisting there was no hard feelings. But her words felt hollow even to the studio audience, who offered little applause. Hours later, Zendaya's publicist released a brief statement. Zendaya believes in respectful conversation and the power of voices across generations. She will not tolerate being dismissed or demeaned. No mention of Joy, no apology, just clarity and finality. The View's official social media pages went into overdrive, scrubbing clips and limiting comments. But it was too late. The internet had already taken over the narrative. Hashtags flooded the trending pages. Zendaya deserved. Joy Behar cancelled. Stand with Zendaya fans dissected every second of the altercation. Body language experts weighed in. Celebrity peers subtly picked sides. Some defended Zendaya's grace under fire. Others criticized the show for pitting generations against each other. And Joy, she stayed quiet. For once, no tweets, no statements, just silence as her name trended for all the wrong reasons. The incident had crossed a line, one that would change how interviews are handled, how celebrities are spoken to, and how far daytime television could push before breaking. As the dust began to settle, a deeper conversation emerged, one that went far beyond a single walk-off or talk show clash. Commentators, analysts, and everyday viewers began asking, why did this moment hit so hard? For many, it wasn't just about Zendaya or Joy Behar. It was about generational power struggles, about how younger voices, especially women of color, are still questioned, dismissed, or told to stay in their lane. Zendaya's refusal to stay silent struck a nerve. She didn't lash out. She didn't play into the drama. She walked away in her terms, and that too many was power. At the same time, Joy's comments revealed an uncomfortable truth about the media landscape, that gatekeeping still exists, even on shows known for open dialogue. Cultural critics drew parallels to past moments on The View, Meghan McCain shouting over guests, Whoopi clashing with political figures, and past celebrities who were interrupted, cornered, or cut off. But this time was different. Zendaya represented a generation tired of being talked over, a generation fluent in activism, media literacy, and the optics of public discourse. A generation that watches closely and remembers everything. The clash wasn't just a fiery debate, it was symbolic, a turning point in how celebrities, especially young women with influence, navigate interviews where the power dynamic has always favored the host. And suddenly, the world had to ask itself, was this about opinions, or was this about control? In the days that followed, everyone waited for the next move. Would Zendaya speak out in an interview? Would Joy Behar issue an apology on air? Would The View address the moment seriously, or sweep it under the rug? The answers came slowly. Zendaya stayed mostly silent, allowing her statement to speak for itself. But actions spoke louder. She cancelled another upcoming daytime appearance, opting instead for digital platforms where she could control the message. Her silence became a statement of its own. The View, on the other hand, tried to resume normal programming, but the shadow of the incident lingered. Ratings for the next few episodes spiked and sharply dipped. Viewers didn't just want celebrity interviews. They wanted accountability. Joy Behar eventually made a brief on-air remark, I may not always agree with our guests, but I respect their right to speak. Sometimes conversations get passionate. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't even acknowledgement. And for many, it wasn't enough. Behind the scenes, sources claimed ABC executives were divided. Some feared long-term damage to the show's reputation, others believed controversy kept the brand relevant. But one thing was clear: Zendaya's exit had changed the equation. Industry insiders started talking. Would guests be more cautious about appearing on The View? Would celebrities demand pre-approved questions or even refuse interviews altogether? The fallout wasn't explosive, it was strategic. Quiet moves, rebooking, silence from former allies. Zendaya had walked away from that table, but in doing so, she may have flipped it. Now, weeks later, the moment still echoes. Zendaya has returned to public appearances on her terms. Red carpet, events, magazine covers, controlled interviews, each one carefully curated, with no trace of drama, but with a noticeable edge. A woman who's been tested and chose strength over spectacle. Joy Behar continues her daily seat at the View table, but something feels different. Her tone more cautious, her questions a little less sharp, and the show's chemistry irrevocably changed. What once felt like spirited banter now teeters on the edge of discomfort. Public opinion remains divided. Some fans argue Zendaya overreacted, others see her as a symbol of grace under fire. But one thing everyone agrees on: the talk show game has changed. No longer can hosts rely on legacy and sharp wit alone. No longer can they control the narrative once it's aired, because today's celebrities come armed with their own audiences, millions of them. And they don't need the mainstream to tell their story. As for the networks, they're learning slowly and painfully that moments like this don't just go away, they become movement. Zendaya didn't just walk off a set, she sent a message to media, to fans, and to anyone who ever tried to silence her. If you won't listen, I'll leave, and when I leave, everyone will hear it. So what does this all mean moving forward? For Zendaya, it's a defining chapter 1 that's already being seen as a cultural milestone. Her walk-off isn't viewed as a meltdown or diva moment. It's been reframed as a boundary, a refusal, a declaration that respect is non-negotiable. For The View, it's a reckoning, a reminder that the old playbook doesn't work on a new generation of guests, that viral isn't always good, that the line between tough questions and disrespect is thinner than ever. And for audiences, it's a wake-up call. Just passive viewers. We're participants, witnesses, commentators with platforms of our own. And in the world of modern media, one clip, one moment, one walk-off can spark global conversation. That's exactly what this did. The Zendaya-Joy Behar clash will be remembered not just for what was said, but for what it revealed. About power, about tone, about how we treat young women who speak their minds. The world saw it, the world felt it, and the world chose a side. Now we turn it over to you. Whose side are you on? Was Zendaya right to walk away, or was this just another celebrity overreaction? Let us know in the comments. Drop your thoughts, your reactions, and your take on what really happened that day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more untold stories from inside the rooms where reputations are made and broken. Because in today's media war, every table is a battlefield.